Okay, now let's go. Right. Sorry for the small delay, but just only it was 1 minute, 2 minutes exactly. Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank you for all the participation. I'll let you know that this webinar for data protection reasons is being recorded. If someone doesn't agree, you can leave it at any time, okay? Most of you know me as I am the owner of modern endpoint management community. And I would like to highlight, to point out that we are already over 27,000 members. And that what mean? That means that we are double the number we were the last year. So that means that we are almost doubling every year our membership. And this is mainly because of the excellent work by the contributor like Jonas, and the active member, who can participate with question and comment. And that is really one of the main reasons and a part of the big reason that the community works excellent, okay? So I thank you to all very, very, very much. So let's start with this workshop that we have prepared on security, because it's one of the topics that, just like, it's one of the topics that you have mentioned in several polls and several surveys that we already we did in the past. And security is one of the topics that is always worries and interesting to the most of the members. So in the agenda, we have two speakers, great experience, expertise, and we are going to speak about two topics. In one hand, we have Markus Bauer, who is the senior technology evangelist, and he's working in Acronis. He will speak about Acronis. He will share some tips and tricks about endpoint solution. So let's give it him, okay, to give you more details. He will start in a few minutes. In the other hand, we invited to Jonas Bøgvad, who I'm sure most of you know him, and he's also very active in our community. I will say that he's truly passionate about sharing his knowledge, his blog, and that's exactly this type of contributor. That is what we're looking for. Also mentioning is a very important point, and he's an MVP. MVP Microsoft, which is that means also he's a very experienced in security, and then he's going to speak about Azure AD Security with Conditional Access, which is I'm pretty sure this is one of the topics that you are truly very interested. So, but anyway, let's better give it away to Markus. Okay, Markus, so he can start with the presentation, and at the end, okay, as we put in the last point forward, we're going to have a session for about 10-15 minutes, depending on how many questions do you have, okay? But we will have the question and answer, where obviously you will be able to ask any question. If you have any question, just wait at the end, okay? Make sure you write in the chat that we have, okay, already your question. So I give you away, Markus, all over you. Can you share your screen? Are you able to share yourself?
Yep.
Good.
Here we go. You should see my screen now.
We see your screen now. Go
Perfect.
ahead.
Okay, great. So yeah, Engel, many thanks for the nice words and the introduction to myself. As said, my name is Markus Bauer. I'm in Acronis for more than 6 years now. I'm based in Germany, in great Munich area, and I'm happy to do this session together with the modern endpoint community, and especially together with Jonas. I'm really looking forward to his part. And my topic today is, for sure, it's about cyber protection, because this is where Acronis is doing his business, but it's more about the second title here, is password good enough? It's I think a really interesting question, and I have a good example with me. I just found out this morning, so stay tuned and maybe get or be a bit surprised. So first of all, these cyber threats are, unfortunately common. And to be honest, what we see at the moment with email, this is only the start. This phishing stuff is, it is a nightmare, but as said, it's only the beginning, especially with new technologies. If you look on our product pitch, you will find a lot of AI, ML stuff. But also the other guys, they are using these new technologies, maybe a bit different, but they are really good in adopting new technologies like AI. So what is artificial intelligence doing in regards of cyber threats, especially phishing email? They are using this technology to, easy spoken, I would say, to spy you out. Which means, if you remember in the past about phishing emails, mostly it was crappy email, a lot of typos. I remember I got an email saying, hey, your UPS package couldn't be delivered. Please click here. But the logo was from DHL. So easy, you can see, oh, this might be a phishing. And now they use AI to check my social contacts on social media. They try to steal credentials for email, not to use my email account to spread phishing. That's all times. They use it to see how do I communicate and learn my wording and learn the wording of my friends and colleagues, which means the phishing email should be perfect at the end. And to be honest, they are. I remember I couldn't do a copy of it for this session because it's in German. I got an email last week from Decathlon. I'm pretty sure everybody knows Decathlon, this big sport discounter. They are worldwide present. Sometimes I'm buying stuff there for hiking and for biking. It's a good shop. I like it. And I ordered something just 2 weeks ago. And last week I got an email from Decathlon saying, hey, you haven't logged in a long time to our system. Please click here, otherwise we will delete your account. And it was perfect. And even I checked the URL, it looks like it was decathlon.de inside the URL, but there was a subdomain. So in front there was some other stuff. So it was really, really hard to figure out. I figured out that this needs to be, or this is phishing, because as said, I just ordered, so I logged into the system. So it's in this time, maybe the timing was not perfect, but on the other hand, the email was brilliant. So if I'm not in this context, I would say I would click on this email because it looks really nice. And this is due to the fact they use new technologies to make it better. And there are a lot of other things we have to deal with. I don't want to talk about them today, like hijacking cloud tools, QR code links, and so on, and all these nice things. Today, my topic is really this password topic. And phishing perfectly fits, because why do people do this phishing? Because they want to steal your password at the end. And having said from Decathlon, here are a few other examples of good, or good is a nice wording in this context, of try to phish your credentials. Everybody has seen the death of my chesty Queen Elizabeth. I'm pretty sure it was a big topic even here in Germany. And our CPOC team, so the Cyber Protection Office Center we are running worldwide, they saw a massive amount of phishing in regards of Queen Elizabeth. Different wordings, different ways, but at the end, they took this topic because it was everywhere in the world, and it was easy. We saw the outcome on a few. It was massive that people clicked these links. Or on the right side, this is something which is really interesting. It's an internal Acronis email about tax refund for transportation and travel expenses. I got a similar one, by the way, a few weeks ago. And the interesting thing is, look on the email address. It's accounting@acronis.com. So they are spoofing internal email addresses. Often it's also called BEC, business email compromising. So it looks like it is an internal email, but it isn't. So this is really the dangerous side. And if you're not checking every email twice, don't click on links. I'm not sure how many awareness trainings I did with our partners and how many awareness training they did with their customer. And then let's do a test in a company and you can see, I would say, half of the people, or let's say it's a good company, 40% of the people, they still click a few of these links because often they are just that good. And this is the big issue. And on the other side, in regards of password, you have data leaks. I'm pretty sure you heard about stuff like this, and always in the news, I got regular newsletter and some blogs I'm reading daily. Every day there is a new information about a data leak, a data breach. Interesting thing is, often these leaks are done by insiders. I don't have a percentage on this, but I think also around about 30 to maybe even 40% are done by insiders. So somebody's just asking you as an IT guy saying, okay, if you give me this login, I will pay you whatever. Or if you give me the login, we will share the revenue, in quotation, after a successful attack, so you get 20%. I talked to a guy from Austria a few weeks ago on an event, and he told me exactly this. He is a guy who is doing cybersecurity, but he's not securing machines. He's helping companies out of the mess. So when you get breached, when you get hacked, or you have the ransomware, he is helping you out. So he is trying at the end, also he's working together with police to get these bad guys. And he told me there was a big hack in Austria. A lot of machines were encrypted by ransomware. And at the end, they found out it was the admin. It was the IT department manager. And he gets 5% out of the ransom. They just ask him, hey, do you want to earn a lot of money? Give us your password, your admin password. And he did. So this is how the mess starts. And this is something which is hard to figure out and hard to block. We have some mechanism also in this regards. We call it DLP, data loss prevention, or data leak prevention in the product. But the human factor is really the hardest factor to get. And why is this happening? And I mentioned it already, it's all about money. It's a good business, unfortunately. Sometimes I'm really thinking if I'm on the right side, the bad guys, they earn much more money. So yeah, as long as there is money involved in our world, yeah, people, you always find somebody who's doing something for money. And therefore, all of these bad things happen. And I want to give you a really nice example. I already mentioned I have something brand new. So let's talk shortly about August 26th here. You see the hacker news saying hackers breach LastPassword developer system to steal source code. Interesting, because normally what the hackers are doing, they are stealing credentials, and then either they sell your credentials or they use your credentials. In this case, they hacked a company, and I'm pretty sure you are aware about LastPass. They hacked a company which has a password manager, and they have stolen the source code. So interesting. I was really wondering when I got this thing, okay, what is the purpose of this? What do they want to do at the end? And I can only guess they want to create a system which is maybe using an API or whatever connection to the LastPass system, and then try to get all the credentials. And before we start the session, I talked with our marketing, with Lana about this, and I said, hey, you know what? Just now I saw in the news that LastPass was hacked again. Now let me move this Zoom stuff here around. LastPass, so sorry, I just did a screenshot this morning. LastPass said it was breached again, and this is really from today. So you see December 1st. So it's a bit unclear what exactly happened so far. Fact is, they get hacked again, they get breached. The chief executive Karim Tuba said, you can read it, yes, we had an unauthorized party gained access to our system, gain access to some, whatever some means, customer information stored on third-party cloud services. And somebody is guessing on another blog. I had no really time to do investigation this morning, but I saw something on another blog saying, at the moment, it looks like they are using a tool which was created out of the source code they have stolen in August. So now you see what was the purpose in August. This was just the first step of a, I can imagine, of a plan. Having a plan saying, okay, let's steal the source code, let's create a tool out of it, and then do the big thing. I'm not sure if this is also just a test, but yeah, it shows two things for me, which are really important. Again, my question is password enough? I don't think so. A password is not enough. Full stop. Second thing, and this is the interesting part of this, you see information stored in a third-party cloud service. So also cloud service is not equal cloud service. You really need to decide and choose the right cloud service. I'm a big fan of cloud, by the way. I'm using mostly everything I'm doing is in the cloud, because I hate to collect and store useless data on my system. I'm a big fan of cloud services, but as said, you need to use the right cloud service. So LastPass, just today, really brand new information. So coming back to this password stuff, can you, or have you seen this sometimes? I'm pretty sure I'm seeing this, by the way, to be honest with you, I'm seeing this often on my systems. Chrome is saying, hey, check your passwords. We found them in a data breach. Or iOS saying, hey, this password appears in a data leak. Maybe you should change it. And now please, hand to your heart, who change the password immediately? I'm honest with you, I don't. Unfortunately, I should do. What I don't do, and this is the good thing, at least I don't do things like this. Putting the password on Post-it, and then on the monitor or on the keyboard or whatever. This is, maybe it looks like a joke, but hey, I know this from real life. People are doing this. You see the password somewhere, not on the display like here. This is just to make it more provocant, but you see it on a white screen, whiteboard. You see it on a post-it or whatever. And if you check in databases, what are the most common passwords? You guess what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is still #1 password worldwide. Really? And the interesting thing is, okay, no, I don't be a lazy and easy guy. I'm having really a hard password. I'm adding 789, and this is on second place. Come on, QWERTY. I love QWERTY. It's easy. For Germans, it would be QWERTZ, because we have this Z on the Y on our keyboard. But hey, yeah, that's real. I took this last week for another webinar. I took this out of a database. So this is really, this is happening. This is not a joke or whatever. This is why I am saying passwords are not really working anymore. And you can check, by the way, if your password was leaked, stolen, or whatever. There is a nice web page where you can put in your email address and then check if this password is somewhere around. And by the way, I saw a web page in the darknet where you can buy credentials. I think it was 10 cents per credential, which is not a lot. So I can easily buy a few. So what can we do? Long story short, two-factor at the moment is the important part. Password, as said, and I think you saw the list, it's not working. So we need to have two-factor authentication. And also here, privately spoken, I don't use any service anymore without two-factor. If a service is not offering me a two-factor authentication, I don't use it. I don't care if it's text message or if it's with the classical, you have an authentication app or whatever. I don't care, but it needs to have a second factor, whatever it is. Without this, I don't use this service anymore. Full stop. Password is not working anymore. Unfortunately, and I'm coming back to this slide we saw it already, also two-factor, it's okay, but it's not getting you, let's say, 100%. I was on an event last week and somebody from Microsoft said, hey guys, use a strong password and two-factor to get at least 80%, which is a lot. I'm not sure if this 80% is correct. What I know is that also two-factor is an issue. Sorry. It's not the two-factor itself or the technology behind it. It's, and I hate this English word, it's two-factor fatigue, which says you be tired of the two-factor. What does it mean? And there is a good example about this, and Jonas will tell you about this much better in detail than I can do. But there is a nice example with Uber. Maybe you heard about Uber, what's happened with Uber. They're using strong two-factor authentication. Brilliant. But what's happened? Somebody, so now please don't name me down on this. I now try to say this really in easy words. You can read about this in detail in the web. So what's happened, easy spoken, somebody gets from his mobile device during the night ping saying, here is your two-factor, here's your two-factor, please click here to accept, blang, blang. And he was really pissed, sorry for my French. And then he got a call in the middle in the night saying, oh, sorry, here is the IT from Uber. We have an issue with our two-factor system. Sorry for bothering you during the night. If you accept it once, then it will stop. And you guess what? For sure, people clicked, yeah, okay, it's during the night. Oh, come on. I accept it. And here we go. People are in, they have the two-factor. So again, coming what I said in the beginning, there is a big, it's too hard. But there is an issue which is in front of the PC, which meaning this human issue. And this is what they are using. So yeah, it can happen. This multi-factor fatigue, I hope I spell it correct, is happening, and it's really, really hard to avoid it. Again, I would say awareness training for your people, really important. And by the way, I'm not sure if I would even mention if my one of my two factors pinging me during the night because I'm sleeping and my mobile phone is not sleeping in the same room. So, but yeah, you know, people are working sometimes 24/7 and waiting for an important call, and this is how the mess begins. So long story short, our modern endpoints, they need more. They are under attack from various directions, and hopefully your laptop is not eaten up like on this picture here. But we have these attacks. We have virus, we have ransomware, we have the hackers, we have everything, and even we have the right side, this paper basket. What does it mean? People deleting something by mistake. I'm a big, I wouldn't say fan, how to say, I'm an idiot in this often. I'm just this morning, I deleted some spam email, and by mistake, I deleted an important one. It's happened. The good thing is it was still in my trash, so I can recover. But sometimes I remember an admin who deleted 5,000 teams in Microsoft 365 by mistake. And he really deleted it, so it was completely gone and he had no backup. So what a mess. But things happen, also this. And now coming a little bit, and this is really one slide about us as a company with our solution. So with Acronis Cyber Protect, we try to protect customers from these attacks, from these threats in various ways. And you see, we try to put it on the page like an onion. When you talk about security, you often talk about this onion. You have these layers of protection. And this is exactly what we try to do. But with one single tool, with one agent. So our aim is now, or the product is around the workload. It's workload centric, which means we want to secure your machine in any belongings. So it's not, yes, Acronis, maybe you know us from the backup part. We are really great in backups. We are doing this for many, many years. But backup alone is not working anymore. We want to secure really the machine with all his data, and this is way more than only backup. So therefore, we created these layers, which is starting with, okay, let's see if there is a vulnerability on this machine. And if there is a vulnerability, let's close it down. Let's patch the machine. So this is the first start. Why? Because if this vulnerability is closed, nobody can use it. So we prevent you from being attacked. Prevention is a big, big part in our product. If you don't know about the vulnerability, you cannot patch it, and then somebody maybe use it. Therefore, this is the number one. Then URL filtering. Every 10th web page is somehow infected by malicious code. So what we do, we block this web page. If there is malicious code, we block it. again, prevention. Before the malware or whatever it is hits you, we block it already on the web page. If this is not working, then we check with an exploit prevention on your machine in real time. Then we go to the anti-malware engine scan, and we have a AI-based static analyzer and down to behavior engine, which means, okay, everything was not working. We patched, the URL filtering didn't kick in, exploit prevention didn't kick in, the real-time scan didn't kick in. And now you have a process which is known as good, like, for example, Word, but Word is encrypting my files. So this is a behavior which is not normal. We will react on it. So it's already really down on the bottom, and then for sure the last line of defense is recovery from backup. Therefore, we have for sure backup, we have the disaster recovery and so on. So this is our way to secure. And on top of this, we call it advanced packs. We have different advanced packs, and like the name says, we can advance some features. And one is this DLP, data leak or data loss prevention, where we analyze things like, okay, he is normally doing this. Why is this guy now doing that? This is not normal. I need to check. So it's our try to make this human on the PC much better. Because, by the way, I also said this in the beginning, maybe it's a mistake from this guy on the machine, but maybe it's not a mistake. Maybe somebody paid him to steal this credential, to steal this data, whatever. Also, this is something we try to avoid with DLP. This is something really, really big and important, and we will see more and more in these regards to find things which are unusual, really, really easy spoken. So the interesting thing about Cyber Protect, by the way, is this combination about traditional backup, data protection, and cybersecurity. So we are the first vendor who brought together these big topics. And by the way, in general, not about our topic passwords today, but in general, if you bring things together, you have really, new technology, new functionality you never had before. Like, hey, I'm not scanning the machine against malware anymore. I'm scanning the backup about malware. Or when I recover, let's scan the machine, the backup during the recovery process if there is something in. Or, hey, we need on top to our normal backup, which is dealing with the data, to have forensic information. So let's run a forensic backup on a machine to see if somebody breached in or installed a spy software or whatever. All this can be found in the forensic backup. So this is the clue about this. And this is, what our aim is. Again, we want to secure your machine. It's all about your machine, and all done with one agent for all of this cyber protection stuff. And for sure, with one agent, you have one console, you have one management, you have one protection plan. This is our aim. We want to avoid things like you see on the screen. And with this, let me see, I'm still good in the time, hopefully. I want to say thank you from my side. And now let's switch over to Jonas about multi-factor. I'm really, really keen to hear his speech. And yeah, let's stop here. And Jonas, up to you. Thanks a lot. And by the way, I saw the question in the Q&A. We will do it after Jonas' session. Maybe there are other questions as well.
Okay, so I'm on now. Perfect.
Yes.
And you hear me nice and clean and all of that?
all of that, all perfect.
Good. Okay, so I'm gonna just figure out Zoom and just try to share my correct screen.
Should be a big green button in the middle.
Yeah. Over here. Okay, there we go. So you only see my presentation right now, right?
Yes, yeah, we
Okay,
can see it. All good, perfect.
I'm gonna figure it out how to go in and out of my presentation and into Azure AD. But welcome and thank you for Markus for giving me the speaker microphone now, and also to Angel from the LinkedIn community. My name is Jonas Bøgvad. I'm gonna talk about reputation borders human quickly with Azure AD Security. I work as a cloud solution architect. I just got from Microsoft the Microsoft MVP, the Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, or the Most Valuable Professional is called, from Microsoft, and I'm so happy about that. I have my blog that is called the blog skymadesimple.io, and if you want to track me on social media, you can just go to my website or find me on LinkedIn, and then yeah, you can find the rest from there. Okay, so let's hop in. So this button, you will see a couple of times in my slides, and hopefully at the end, you're gonna have some thought about it. Okay, next slide. My agenda is gonna be table of content. So my table of content is gonna be users and reputation, doom clicking, trust the cloud, and get started. Okay. So first off, we have users and repetition. We have the user perspective, and we have repetition is boring. So users is more or less talking about what's in it for me, and what about all this doom clicking. We are, as a IT security people with identity, we have, probably most of us, I have myself done conditional access, which hardened my environment the most, or the hardest I can do. I made that mistake myself, and this is a learning journey. But I just see out there now that if we are gonna continue with the conditional access we have in place right now, we are gonna introduce doom clicking. And I know Markus also talked about it. We just heard about Uber, and that is not good. If we go down to reputation is boring, we are slowly introducing security flaws, no dopamine. And if you understand dopamine, you get it every time you click on your phone or you do something on social media, whatever. It's also called doom scrolling, but I'm just gonna call it doom clicking. We are introducing, yes, in the start, dopamine for our brains. So we just click, that's nice, awesome. But then we start to have the MFA fatigue. And I know Markus also called fatigue, or yeah, but it's fatigue. I learned that the hard way myself. But
thanks, Jonas. Sorry,
You're
guys.
You're welcome. But when we don't get any more dopamine anymore in our brains, we get over to what is called boredom. So that happened for Uber. It can happen for anyone. We just click. And we just click because we don't get any dopamine from it, but we know it's a job we need to do. So we click, doom clicking. So doom clicking. I'm gonna show you some statistics on all this phone addiction we have in our day-to-day work, or in our socials, or at our homes and all of that. We have our phone all the time in our hands. So this is some numbers that is really interesting. So it's from something that is called Bank Myself. They did a big a survey for 4,328, probably some more as well. But if we look on the top, how much time did we spend on our phones? The average time we spend on our phones is 171 minutes a day. So that's 2 hours and 51 minutes. So these numbers are crazy. If you look at the one I highlighted, the average user will tap, swipe click their phone 2,617 times a day. So imagine then you are popping in with your MFA prompts. So you want to have your environment secure. So you have in your brain that you want to prompt your users every time they need to do anything regarding critical environments or doing their day-to-day work. So they click one more time, all the time. Back to we get addicted to our phones because we get the dopamine, but at some point we're going to wake up and see that this is not how it should be. So we need to have some alternatives. I also highlighted on the right from 18 years old people to 29. They are they check their phone every few minutes. And if you look on the one I highlighted as well, also in the text, we click on our phones 2,617 times. So that is crazy numbers. I myself, not gonna call myself addicted to my phone, but in some way I probably am because I get the dopamine. But I have been trying to remove all these notifications, remove social media, etc., etc. But we still have our authenticator, and we need to authenticate to our work. So we still have those notifications enabled because we need to get access to something, and we need to make sure that our users have MFA. Good. Hope I'm track on time. Let's go. So we need to start trusting the cloud intelligence and be proactive. If we look in the middle in the top, we will see that there is now a number. So this number is what is called number matching from Microsoft, which is going to be our default sign-in when we use the Authenticator app, not push notifications, but it's going to be number matching. On the right side, we are going to see how it should not be done. We have persistent browser session in our conditional access. We have one that is called never persistent. So we won't be able to have a persistent cookie in our browser session. So every time we close it down, it's going to remove itself, and then when we open it up again, you need to re-authenticate. What we also have is we can go in and push out number matching. So in the middle, you're going to see require number matching for push notifications. I'm also going to show it in the portal. It is right now in your portal. If you haven't done this proactively, went in and clicked on the status and changed it to enabled, it will then be Microsoft managed. And that means that Microsoft will then, when the world or there is some critical security changes out there, Microsoft will go out and push it out and enable it for you in one way or the other. You can also go in and press disable so you have the control. But back to the trust cloud intelligence, trust the cloud. You have a partnership with Microsoft. You have Microsoft. If you are in the Microsoft ecosystem, you better just trust them because you already made that decision. The last one in the bottom right is going to be sign-in frequencies, also called SIF. I also seen that a lot out there, that every 8 hour, users need to re-authenticate. So we introduce again a dopamine that will then come out to be a MFA fatigue, boredom. This should not be done anymore. I don't really recommend it. I've done it myself, but I've changed the way I think about the primary refresh token that we get every time we authenticate. But let's continue. The last one. On the February of 27, 2023, Microsoft is gonna enable default for your users number matching. So as they also say in this purple square, you will see that it says we highly recommend enabling number matching in the near term for improved sign-in security. Because if they just can click yes, 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 or no, like probably some people never really do. I always click yes because I assume that it's me signing in. I assume, and I don't check it anymore. So number matching is gonna make that flip a little bit because I cannot press yes anymore unless I have a number. And if I don't see that number, I cannot sign in. So it's matching up, number matching. Okay. So get started. We are gonna see you're gonna see a big slide now, yeah? I didn't have time to animate it. So I'm gonna talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then end up with the last one, 6. So how do we get to where we want to be? We want to have number matching right now, but we also don't want to have people being prompt notified all the time. So we need to do our research. So first we need to do our research and understand our environment. You have possibilities inside the portal where you can actually see how users are actively authenticating with Azure AD. When you have that understanding, you want to be at the core of the Authenticator app. So you want to have the Microsoft Authentication app. And Microsoft have released what is called the Nudge campaign. So you can actually proactively go out now in your portal and make people be prompt if they're not using Authenticator app as the default notification or authentication. They will then get now opportunity to get onboarded. So nudging. You've probably also seen it with identity security, that you can actually, the users can postpone their MFA onboarding for 14 days. This is the same thinking. So you can combine this with different tools that Microsoft has given to you in a way that you can get up to the speed and get number matching out in your environment. So the next thing, step 2, is going to be enforcing number matching. So you need to do this before Microsoft does it. That is my recommendation. Don't sit back, be proactive. You need to go in and enforce number matching, and we'll show you, don't worry, how that is done. So they number match. So not yes or no, but number matching. Next thing, you need to trust primary refresh token, the PRT. The PRT is the primary refresh token that Microsoft has called. They have called it the primary refresh token, but it's built around open source authentication methods. It's built around OAuth 2.0, SAML, and OIDC. Microsoft has just built that you can also do a single sign-on. So you don't need to be authenticated multiple times to apps, to big applications that is installed with OAuth 2.0. You can then go up to your website and also combine that with SAML. So every time you authenticate to a website that understands SAML, you are able to then authenticate with Azure AD. The last one that is called OpenID Connect. You also see it from Google or Facebook. So every time you go to a website, you are going to be shown that you can sign in with your Microsoft account, you can sign in with your Google account, you can sign in with your Facebook account. That is what OIDC is. Inside our primary refresh tokens, we have what is called refresh token. Oh, what was the last one? Oh, I forgot that. Session. Oh, I will get back to that. Don't worry. Sorry, I forgot the last one. But step 4, you need to rethink sign-in frequencies, also called SIF. You need to go up and then trust Azure Identity Protection. So you have the user risk and the sign-in risk with user identity protection. So that will be your cloud intelligence. It will adapt to your environment and understand how your users authenticate. You probably heard it multiple times, impossible travel. Or you can go in, if you don't have Azure Premium P2, I will then recommend that you then go over and trust on your compliance. And if you have both, if you have Azure Premium P2, I always recommend that you combine both of these two. But if you don't have P2, Azure Premium P2, think about compliance and trusting your devices. Don't put sign-in frequencies on 8 hours, remove them. Microsoft have a default time, and they will always make sure that these tokens on the endpoints, it could be an iOS, it could be Android, it could be a Windows. As Markus also said, they are under attack all the time, but Microsoft will always listen with their AI technologies and cloud intelligence and remove this token, the trust to this token, and then make sure that users are re-authenticating. So don't force it, trust the PRT. And if you don't trust it right now, go and do your research, understand how a PRT works. Okay. The fifth one, that is going to be force MS auth plus password, or Windows Hello for Business or FIDO2 with what is called authentication strength. Microsoft has introduced, which is a big thing, that we can now go up and enforce different authentication strings. Before, we could only go up and enforce MFA. We could enforce compliance. We could go in and mess around with the token and do our own stuff with this token. But now we can also go in and say which authentication string should a user authenticate with. So we can go in now and say that they need to authenticate with Microsoft Authenticator and password or Windows Hello for Business. And if you use Windows Hello for Business in your environment, or if you don't have it, that's probably the bigger question here. If you don't have Windows Hello for Business, you should then do your research on that one as well. And if you're in a hybrid environment, Microsoft has introduced what is called the hybrid Kerberos Cloud Trust, I think they're calling it now. They just changed the name, but that is able to then give the user, when they're signing with Windows Hello for Business on the Windows devices, a session that is mono authentication, but also a claim in the token, MFA claim. But they can also authenticate to local environments that is reliable on Kerberos with the new solution that is called Hybrid Kerberos Cloud Trust. Good. So this is where the demo starts. I want to show you number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. So let me just make sure that I can do this over here. I'm going to shut that one down. Good. You should now see my other screen, the Infra Admin Center. If you don't, please interrupt me now. Okay, so Microsoft has rebranded. You know, Microsoft like to rebrand their stuff, but in a way that they hope that we understand it better. Because identities is not only user identities, it's different kind of tools. So you have Azure AD, you have the newly introduced verified ID, you also have the workload identities and identity governance. But I'm gonna use my time on the steps you just saw before. Sorry, I cannot show both screens right now, but 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. So first off, I'm gonna show you where you can find this Microsoft Authenticator Nudge campaign. So I cheated a little bit, of course I did. But if you go to the Intra, and by the way, if you have this one, I recommend installing the plugin, the cmd.ms, and you can just write in Intra, and you will get the links up here in your history. So let's go over to Intra. So I'm going to go down to users, not users, which I just came from. New portal and demo. Awesome. Here we go. So protect and secure. You know the old portal. When you go into the azure.portal.com, you will then find, or portal.azure.com, it will look different. So this is the new one. You got to get used to it. So let's go into the security center. down here, authentication methods, and then registration campaign. So over here, you will find the nudge campaign. You can push it out to your users today and let them be nudged over to using the Authenticator app. Really good tool. Next up is going to be enforcing our number matching. I cheated again. And now I'm not going to go back, but I'm in authentication methods over here. And then I'm going to go into policies. Then I'm going to go and find Microsoft Authenticator. And over here, you can see a button that is called Configure. And in here, you are able to manipulate, change the default settings of how you authenticate with them, how you authenticate with the Microsoft Authenticator app, and also the information you are given when you authenticate. So default is going to be like this, and the one you want to really look for is this one. Require number matching for push notifications. Of course, it's always good to give your users valid information every time they authenticate, so they give some kind of information. But at some point, if we continue with what we're doing, prompting our users too much, all this information, application name and geographic location, is going to be useless, because users are not going to read it at all if we authenticate or prompt our users too many times. Yeah. The next one was trusting the PRT. I had at some point written a blog about it. So if you want to read more about that, you can go into my blog and read it. You can also search for it. What is primary refresh token in Bing? And I'm up here. That was in Bing. Awesome. Bing. Bing ding. Good. Let's go to Google. And I'm down here as well. So recommend going and reading the information about trusting the PRT, so you understand what it is. Next up was going to be the sign-in frequencies. So every time you make a policy, you are able to go down in the session in the bottom over here, and then you have sign-in frequencies. What I showed on my screenshot before was the 8 hours over here. Remove that. You shouldn't be the one deciding how many times you need to authenticate in and out. If users have Windows for Business, if you have Azure AD protection, you will then be able to combine that with user risk and sign-in risk instead. Microsoft also have a default time, so they will also handle in the backend when they suggest that users should re-authenticate. I understand if you have users that is executives or someone that is on an admin account, a higher hierarchy account, privileged identity access, a privileged identity or role, or what you want to call it. I understand that you want to have this sign-in frequency on top, above. I also understand, or on 8 hours or below. I also understand you want to use sign-in frequencies if you have, if you allow your users to sign in from browsers from any machine to access their portal.office. I also understand that you want to use sign-in frequencies, and I also recommend it in that particular case. But in overall, don't go in and manipulate the CIF. Trust the cloud and primary refresh tokens. Okay, the last one. I'm sure you don't remember my slides right now, but the fifth one was going to be forcing MS auth and password or Windows for Business or Feeder 2. So that was with authentication strings. So if we go over to our authentication strength, you're going to find it at the intro.microsoft.com. Going to go down to protect and secure, and then authentication methods. You're going to find authentication strings, which is in preview right now. In here, you are able to make your own authentication strength that you can use in your conditional access policy. So in this case, we wanted to enforce MS auth, password, plus password, or Windows Local Business, or either two. So in here, I'm gonna just make a new one. I'm gonna call it demo. And here I can then go in and click the authentication strings that I want in my policy, or in my authentication strength. I want to use these ones. In the bottom, you also have the authenticator app somewhere here. Yeah, there we go. So that one is now created, my authentication strength, then I can now use over in my conditional access policies. You also see on the right if it is used in any conditional access policies. So let's go back over here to our, use that one, use this one, conditional access. New policy. And if we go down to grant, we will then see that we have the new button that is called require authentication strings. So if we click on that one, we will then find our demo authentication string that I just created. So in that one, that will be that we are now requiring MS auth plus password or Windows Local Business or either two. That was the end of this short little demo. I think I have one more thing I want to show you, by the way. So if we go back to my slides, over here, back here. Still have the guy clicking all the time. So the sixth step is going to be passwordless. So as you also heard about Markus talking about passwords, I also talk a little bit about password, but I'm talking about combining password with number matching. So if you are now at this level and you understand the primary refresh token, you understand that you shouldn't manipulate too much with the CIF, you trust the primary refresh token, you should then head over and discuss passwordless sign-ins. Because now you are already at the step where you are trusting on Microsoft Authentication, the authentication app you have now deployed in your environment. You are now ready to actually talk about passwordless sign-in. And if you want to have a bigger picture or broader picture about how people authenticate to your environment, yes, you can force it, but you can also do a rollout will be that you now have the possibility for users to now authenticate, use the Microsoft Authenticator app with push notifications. You're then able to now go in and check if people are ready for passwordless sign-in. So that's going to be, I'm going to go back to my screen again over here. Yeah. So if we go into authentication methods, we will see activity. And here Microsoft actually giving you an overlook of if people are capable of doing passwordless sign-in. So that will mean that you are now able to get the right information and then start your journey for passwordless authentication instead of waiting, because you're already trusting the authentication app and primary refresh token. Great. And a side note, if you're using number matching, you're then using app notifications on your app. So this one will be this one that is topping up. But up here you can see users capable of passwordless. So I always go in and check these activities and see how far our environment is from one of my clients. And when we are discussing anything that is regarding identity security or authentication with Azure AD, yeah, something like that, security in overall, this is a really good page to look for. Yeah. The last one I'm going to show you here is going to be this one. I'm going to go back to the old one. Microsoft has introduced what is called on the users. You will then have, not here, sorry about that, overview. Here it is. You will have preview features. Oh, where is it? It's not here. But you will have what is called Azure AD recommendations. So Microsoft will then release to you what they recommend in your environment when they understand it. and do some recommendations for you. Unfortunately, my tenant didn't have it enabled in my demo tenant here, but let's see if we can get it. Normally goes pretty quickly. I'm just gonna update. There it is. I think it was there already, by the way. I just forgot about when you do live demos, it was down here. But in here, you will then find recommendation for your environment. And Microsoft, again, giving you personalized opportunities for your environment to go to the road for passwordless and secure your environment. So they give you some action plans. If we click on this one, they will then give you a descriptions, the value, and then the action plan in the bottom. And a priority. Good. So that was the demo. Then I'm gonna go back to my slides. Good. So last thing was, did you find this button boring? You probably didn't see it too much, but I'm just trying to make a point that clicking is boring. We shouldn't click too much anymore. Do what I just told you. But yeah, next one is going to be useful links. The cmd.ms that I talked about is really cool. Shout out to the guy who made it. You can probably find the guy who made it in the bottom in there, but it's really good for the links. You know, you saw that I was crappy at finding all the buttons in the new Entra, and you can go in and search for it. You can search for all the links in there as well. Also have a plugin for your browser. The last one is going to be plan a passwordless authentication deployment. So Microsoft have released a strategy for you that you can use. They are what I really like is that you are doing. They have just introduced your strategy, and number 2 is what I like: reduce user visibility, password surface area, removing password areas, and let the users, again, back to no passwords, no stupid password anymore, do passwordless sign-ins. Last thing is going to be my blog. So this is my blog. Go on and check it out. I hope you find some value in there. And what I just added to my slides was secure DNS host with MFA, because I have seen now a couple of times now when I'm out with my clients, they want to talk about MFA, they want to talk about identity security, but every time I ask the questions, unfortunately, I ask them how to secure DNS. And many hosts out there doesn't even support MFA, which is so worrying. So please go and check that out. If you have DNS with MFA, if you have a DNS host that supports MFA, enable it right now. DNS, it's so important nowadays. Everything is built around us, DNS and our UPNs, so we can have a company branding and all of that. So secure it, please. Okay, that was my presentation. So thank you.
Very good, both of you guys. It's a really very good presentation. Now it's a time for a question and answer. Not sure if you already, Markus. I saw the chat. It was really, it was quite busy. But I'm not sure if there's any question Markus is still missing in the chat. Is anything that? Can you see that?
There's one question for Jonas in the Q&A. Can you access it, Jonas?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
So Jonas, SIF is really helpful because I manage VIPs and so far not implemented. So you don't have SIF implemented now, but now you are, because I told you about executives or VIPs. Yes, I recommend that you, when you have VIPs, you always have a task or a special security around the VIPs, because they are important for your company, and you should think about SIF. Yes, but remember, you still have app protection policies, you have compliance, you have Intune. So it's really up to this particular case. Which access do they have? how do they access, which device do they access from, before you discuss if you need to have SIF implemented. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Is any more question? Otherwise, I've got here. One is someone asking me in LinkedIn. That is, I guess, more for you, Jonas. Is does sign-in frequency affect the Windows login?
Yes.
Okay. I've got another one here. How do we ensure user to use MS Auto app?
So how you use Microsoft Authenticator app? I could imagine that if you have. I understood your question. The auth. But yeah, I also see out there that people are using Google Authenticator or something else out there. But with authentication strength, you are able to actually go in, and then, as I showed you also in the step, I think it was step 5, you could then see that you are now able to enforce authentication app, the Microsoft authentication plus a password. So that will mean that it cannot no longer authenticate with the Google authentication app if this, what it says, is correctly 100%, is new. So that will be how you can go in and enforce authentication strength and then enforce Microsoft authentication app instead of Google app.
Okay, very good. I can't see if any more question in the question and answer. We are over 10 minutes over time because we expect more than an hour, which is good. I mean, it's good because it's a very interesting content. So, not sure if Markus, if anything from your side you want to add here, or any other question that might be highlighted in the chat that maybe.
I'm good. I learned a lot from Jonas. Thank you for this. Always learning in these sessions, which is great. So no, nothing to add. I answered the chat, which was a nice discussion there. So yeah. I think all good. Oh, there's no. Let me see. Joseph has one question in Q&A. Does Azure recommendation serve same purpose as Azure Advisor? Oh,
that's a good question. I just saw it as well. I actually don't know.
Me either.
Yeah, because it's such a new feature, but it's probably built around some of the tools they already have. They're just showing you in a different way, in a different front end, without all the other noise. Good question. I'm gonna figure that one out.
Okay. It looks like that we almost answered all the question. We had a very good conversation, very good session with you both, guys. I really truly appreciate. I think it's another last question. Is the same one? Do you love a blog about the latest feature about phishing MFA? We love to log out. That's not a question, but it's a comment. Okay, so I think that we can end this being very interesting workshop. If there's anything you guys want to say from your side, okay, I think that we can close it. It was really interesting, as always. That's exactly what we're looking for in the community. You know, try to helping each other, trying to learn each other, and that's a session that we are trying to do, and I hope so. We got it. We did it. I think so, because with guys like you, with expertise and experience that you have, guys, it's a great definitely session and a good learning from you. So I just want to thank you everyone for participation, for you guys also for your session, and then see you again in the next. Okay. Then Jonas, keep doing good job in the community. All right, nice blog, by the way. Your blog is really, I recommend you guys visit the Jonas blog. It's really helpful and very interesting topics and very interesting post. Very interesting. And it's always, people reacting in your community just simply because you did a good job. Thank you so much. See you next time. Markus, thank you to you again. Okay, nice to have you here. Good learning for you. Thank you. Bye-bye, Jonas. Bye-bye, everyone, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.